Are you running a marathon? Oh, I could never run a marathon. Are you sure about that? A marathon? That's like 42 kilometers, 26 miles. I don't understand those people. That used to be me. But not anymore. Welcome to the Marathon Podcast. My name is Christian Warwick. Warwick runs on Instagram, YouTube. Really happy to have you here in this very short episode of the Marathon Podcast. I thought I would update you guys on a few things, update you guys on the podcast, and also share a little bit obviously about my training, but also I thought I would kind of touch on how I feel like this very unsuccessful Boston build is affecting me, but also how there are other things in my life that I feel like are kind of saving me in the same way that I felt like running was saving me when things weren't that good in other areas of my life. So before we dive into all of that, I just thought I would give you a little bit of an update on the Marathon Podcast. It's been just about a year since I started the pod. It's been a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed getting to know all of you guys, at least those of you who I've been interacting with, and it's been really nice to get messages from you guys saying that you're listening, that you're enjoying the podcast. Please keep doing that. It means a lot, and especially these days, because I feel like the motivation for everything that we do, it goes up and down, and lately I've felt less motivated to do this podcast, not because I'm less into running, but it's just been a lot of things happening. It's a lot of work. And I guess I also had bigger expectations for the podcast in 2026. I know that we're only 3 months in, but I still was kind of hoping that it would blow up even more. And really grateful to all the listeners that are tuning in every week, but it still feels like it's been kind of just flattened out a little bit. The numbers have been the same, and I know that I shouldn't really focus on that, but it's still hard to not, I guess, like not be affected by it one way or the other. So I am definitely not saying that I'm considering quitting the podcast or anything like that. I'm just saying that if you are listening to the podcast, if you feel like this is helping you, please obviously let me know, but also give the podcast a review, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like just, I guess, kind of help me see even more that it matters. And this is not like meant to be like a pity party or like, poor me, I don't get the results or anything like that. But I guess that sometimes it's hard when you're sitting, like I'm sitting here in Norway and recording these episodes every week, 3 of them every week. And the one thing that gives me a lot of pleasure and I enjoy that is like having these conversations with people. So that is not something that I feel like is difficult to do. Like the last episode that I had with Mark was just super like useful. I learned a lot, and also I was thinking about it when I was talking to him. I was like, I really hope I can meet this guy because he seems like a genuine nice person, and I've felt that way with so many of the people that I've had on. I guess it's more about like everything around it. I do see that there's a very it's very clear to me that me posting reels promotion on Instagram has an effect on the numbers on the episodes. And with a busy life outside of the podcast, it takes a lot of time. So I think that just like seeing that it's all worth it to you guys, that it means something, that has meant a lot. And so I just like would love for you to keep doing that, and also just give me that only support that I kind of can ask from you guys, and that is to follow and subscribe and share these episodes with friends if you feel like they're useful. So in terms of the marathon podcast going forward, I'm gonna do my best to keep it up. I have to be honest and say that it's been really, really hard to be able to push 3 episodes a week over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Not so much because, or not at all because I haven't wanted to. It's more that life and work has been so busy, and that kind of leads me to this. I guess like. Uh, I'll talk a little bit about Boston, the build, how things have been going. I've been updating you guys, but also like that's where I'm gonna touch on what life has been like outside of this podcast and inside of running. And I, uh, first of all, like Boston has been the biggest goal of 2026 for me. I have been so excited to go back. I had such a good experience there last year, but I really didn't feel like I was able to perform the way I wanted to. And I really felt like I wanted to prove myself this year. And now that I'm saying that, it almost sounds like that is a recipe for disaster, to kind of say that you want to prove yourself. But I guess that's not really what I mean. It's more that I felt like I had more in me, and I really just wanted to try to run faster this year. And so I set myself this very ambitious goal of running a 2:38 marathon in Boston. And up until, I would say, February 8th, that seemed super realistic. Seemed like something that was very doable. I had a long run on ice and on snow, and I mentioned this long run before with some work in there, but still I ended up having like a 4:16 per kilometer average pace, 30K. Like, I didn't even feel tired at all when ending that. And I remember that was also like 122K week, I think, or maybe 117, 18. I think, like, if I look back at the 7-day average I think I peaked at 122. But I just did so many things right, and things felt so good. And then all of a sudden, my body started kind of not working so well with the iron deficiency that the doctors said that I had. Most likely, that was kind of the issue. And although I've been able to run like a little bit here and there, it's not been very consistent. And now I was counting today, it's like 7 weeks since that very good week. I had several good workouts that week and felt so good. And now here we are, tomorrow, like when this comes out, it's 3 weeks until Boston. And I'm so far from that. So, like, far from that level that I was at. I had my first long run in 4 weeks, I think, today. And that long run wasn't even what you will call a long run, especially not in like when you're talking marathons, and especially not when we're like considering that we are now 3 weeks out from Boston. I did 20K and excuse me. Did 20K at 4:07 pace, I guess. Like, felt super easy in the beginning. It wasn't really planning on going that fast. I thought maybe I could do like 4:15, 4:20, and then pace came easy to me in the beginning, and then got a bit harder at the end. But like, obviously uplifting that I'm able to do that after a week of sickness and then just like barely kind of getting back. But I also, like, I have to be realistic, and it does affect my ambitions and everything for the Boston Marathon. And to be clear, it's been weeks since I thought that I was able to do a 2:38 marathon, but now it's more like, what am I going to be able to run there? And the plans are changing. I'll get back to that as well. But yeah, things are just not as fun with the running. It's been a bit harder because running is becoming like increasingly a bigger part of my life. And with that, that also means that I am, I don't know, like, not necessarily expecting more, but I guess like it affects me more when it's not going my way. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this and that it's hard. And if you've listened to this podcast for a while, or if you've been following me on YouTube, you know that uh, I've been using running kind of more as a distraction or something to help me when things are not going great in other areas of my life. And now we're kind of at the opposite end where I'm trying to do other things to have fun and enjoy life. And like running is not everything to me, honestly. Like it means a lot when I have the goals and when I'm running, and I would like obviously love to perform the way I want to, but on the other hand, there are other things that are just as important to me. Christine and I are planning a wedding, and I have my job, I have my dog, and I have my cat. Like things, my family, things that are also a lot of fun. And I guess like for 2026, my plan was to do less filmmaking and photography and do more of the podcast. And then especially like the last few weeks, I've kind of found that love or passion for filmmaking again, which has been so much fun. I've been making this ad this week, or like this film. It's a big project, and first of all, it's a lot of fun to get that, like the client trusting me with that, but also it's a lot of fun to see that filmmaking can be that much fun, and that I can feel like it's almost a bit risky to take it on because it's so big, fairly big budget, but just as much like it's such an important film for the client. And it's me, I'm one person working on all of this, and yeah, just having so much fun with it. So this week I've been able to really have fun with that and distract myself, if you like. Like I don't feel like that's what I'm doing. I'm not distracting myself, but it's more like that I'm having so much fun with it. That's where my focus is. And then running is just something that I need to get in there in between. And I think that's kind of what it's supposed to be like. As long as you're not a full-time athlete, I think that that's what running should be like. And it sucks when we get injured, sucks when we get sick, but we're also supposed to have a life on the outside, right? I think that, or Christine was asking me a couple of weeks ago when we started getting sick, we were kind of talking about whether or not we should, do something like precautions in terms of not getting sick or whatever. And I was like, we have to live our lives, and this running thing is not that important. And I think that's important to kind of remember for all of us. And it's nice to allow running to be super important, but also remember that it's not when you look at the big picture. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun with that. I thought that it's nice to kind of, I guess, share how I'm feeling. Like the honest truth is that it sucks. It's been hard, and now I had someone commenting on my Strava today that I should just focus on finding that love for running again, not focus so much on that Boston Marathon goal. And I think that's valid, like a good point. I think that's something that I definitely should work more on. But that being said, I haven't given up on Boston. It's 3 weeks left. I know that a lot of things can happen within 3 weeks, and if I can run properly, like at 80 around 85K, I think this week, which is the highest mileage week I've had since that week where I had 122, and I think the next week will probably be 100 plus. And I'm like, I think that there is a chance that I can get to Boston, feel really good, and be even better than I was today, or like what I'll be next Sunday. But yes, we're running out of time. There is a limit to how much better I can get. But then again, I'm not really planning on tapering much because we don't really have time for that this time. I just need to get some good running in. But it's going to be even more important to focus on the intensity of things, I guess. And that kind of brings me to this thing where I've been talking to so many people now. This is, I don't know, episode 138, 39 of the Marathon Podcast. I've talked to guests on or runners on most of these episodes. And one thing that I've learned is to make sure that your easy runs are easy. And I think that it's so easy to talk about this, but to execute so hard. And especially when you've been sick like I have, then it's easy to almost like try to feel a little bit every run, be like, okay, how I'm feeling now, like how does it feel if I'm pushing this pace? And I'm not pushing like race paces at all, but I need to be better at just keeping those easy runs easy and exaggerate that. And so today when I went out for that long run, it was not supposed to be as hard as it ended up being. And that's something that, like, I think I need to get that confidence somehow, but I also don't think that it's the smartest thing to do when you only have 3 weeks until a big race and a marathon, and you know that you don't have time to taper, because then you need to be smart about kind of every move going forward. And in tomorrow's episode, or like on Wednesday's episode, I'm going to record tomorrow, I'm going to have Jonathan Green on, who is my coach, and we're going to go through the things that we've been doing, but also thoughts and plans for Boston. How does all of this affect our build? How are we approaching this now that we are in the situation we are in? I know that John still believes that we can do well, and that makes me happy, and I hope that I I will be able to as well. But yeah, I think that the very good thing about Boston and about that race, and especially now having the podcast, is that I'm going to have so much fun regardless. I can't wait to meet a lot of you guys and know that there will be a lot of you there. We're going to do a shakeout in Boston the day before the marathon. And yeah, I'm going to enjoy Boston no matter what. So whether I am running Boston full out, like racing it 100%, or going a bit slower and just enjoying the energy and the people, we'll see. But I think that the most important thing here is to enjoy it, like the comment that I got on Strava, and Boston will be fun no matter what. There are some things happening out in the world of running that we probably should touch on, since this is the Marathon Podcast. First of all, Felicia Pasadena, who's been on the podcast several times, she's actually coming back on in a week's time. She won the 10K in California last night. I'm so impressed with her. She's been struggling with a little bit with an injury. She was back on the Stairmaster today, actually, and she's also combining this with studying to become a doctor, like, or studying medicine. I'm just blown away by that girl. And yeah, it's been interesting to see some of the discussions going on about her VO2 max. People don't believe that is true. I think that's just really proving now that it makes sense that she has that kind of results on the, like, when she's testing her VO2 max. But yeah, I'm really proud to call her a friend and to, like, have her to chat with and be inspired by. Other than that, we had the McCurdy half marathon today. No, sorry, McCurdy. They call it the micro marathon, but it's a marathon where they do these short loops. I was honestly, like, the only relationship that I had to that was, like, I've seen people running it, but also, like, for this year, I knew that Chris Striegel from Life in Stride was gonna run it. I was just texting with him. He had a great race until he had to stop because of, you can't even call it a blister, because it was like one of the worst things I've seen. Go check out Life in Stride on Instagram if you want to see what I'm talking about. But he had to stop because of something under his foot. That was really, really bad. Sorry, but also still proving that he's running fast and that he's good for some really good times. And then Thomas Nobbs, friend of the pod, who's been on the podcast, and definitely going to have him back on. We also had his coach Brent on a few weeks ago or a few months ago. we're gonna have them both back on, I hope. But Thomas ran a 2:09 marathon today. Super, super impressive. Very, very cool to see. And also, like, back to that easy run mentality. He's been one of the guys here preaching that. So really, really impressed. Really happy for Thomas, and so cool to see. Jesse Donovan. Is it Donahue? I'm sorry if I get that wrong. Someone that I've been following for a very long time. And she won and OTQ'd in the McCurdy Micro Marathon. I think that I need to have her on to have her talk about it. I know that she has an approach to running which is like much more strength based, and I think that's fascinating as well. Something that I was thinking about today when I was running, that I'm not a big dude, but my thighs are much bigger than a lot of runners coming from speed skating. So I'm curious to hear how she combines that, because it's clear that she found a way to still run fast. And then we had the Berlin half marathon today. I'm not gonna list all the results, but like there are some guys that have been on the podcast, like Johannes Mutschmann, who was on episode number 10 of the marathon podcast. He became the third German there. Was it 1:03 he ran? And then Victor Smunks, who ran a 1:04, which is super cool. I can't wait to see what he can do in the marathon distance this year. Very, very exciting. And then we had Jimmy Whelan, the Australian, who's kind of like blown everyone's mind, like blown the all like the I don't know, blown our minds with his running. He ran 1:05. I'm not sure if he's super happy with that, but unless he was taking this as a training run, still like some pretty fast running going on. I'm very, very impressed with how people are doing here. Also, Jakob Lange, who has been on the podcast, go check him out. He's such a fast runner these days. And what impresses me with him is that he actually ended up quitting combined Nordic skiing in this winter, middle of the season, and now he's kind of prioritizing running more. He's been setting PR after PR in the marathon and now in the half marathon. So, yeah, very cool to just be following this from the outside. I'm sure there are many more names that I should mention here, but just wanted to mention some of them. And then some heartbreaking news in terms of Cole Gibbons, Cole running, if you're following him. He has a bit of a stress fracture or stress reaction, so he's not going to be able to run London Marathon, and he's been having such a good build up until now, and just heartbreaking to see him not being able to do that. And then I guess, like, since we had something heartbreaking, we need to have something uplifting, and that is that after the whole shebang with the U.S. half marathon for the women, the USDF actually managed to get more spots for the World Championships and in half marathon. I guess that's in Copenhagen this year. And all the girls who qualified and also ran or were guided wrong will get to run as, if I understood it correctly. So that's also really, really good news. And then there's been another discussion that I think that we just briefly need to touch on. That is girls or women being dropped because of pregnancies. And I think that, it's always hard to know what is true or not. Like, I know that I'm not going to mention the brand, but I know that the brand in question has kind of, they said something about this definitely not being the case, like arguing that the things they were talking about there are not really true. But that my understanding based on from the athlete's perspective in this case was that they were negotiating a new deal, and then when they learned that she was pregnant, she kind of lost that deal, which I think is super unfair. That's not how it's supposed to be. And it breaks my heart because I think that historically and statistically, without like knowing this for sure, but I know that at least in a lot of cases, women are actually coming back much stronger after giving birth. So I would say that during the pregnancy, for several reasons, like even from a selfish perspective from the brand's side, they should help that athlete. But I also feel like that's when they need it more. Like, we're human beings. You're gonna take care of another human being, and we need that support. I'm super proud to have supported Tristan Colley with the Marathon Podcast sponsorship last year. I didn't even know at the time, I think, how much that would mean to her and her family heading into kind of uncertain times with their team being shut down, or and also having kids. So I think that we can all do better when it comes to that. And I also feel like, especially now being such a big part of the running community, women's sport and women's running is like so important. And I really, really hope that that's not gonna be something that we see more of, like obviously more of women's sport, but these cases that I'm talking about, because that's just not okay, not fair. And and I was thinking about it today, that like when I'm talking about the Marathon Podcast sponsorship. Sorry, I'm switching topics pretty quickly here, but when it comes to the Marathon Podcast sponsorship, it was definitely my intention, or it is still my intention if it works out, to keep doing that. But I think I was a bit too ambitious. Like last year, I handed out more than $15,000 to runners all over the world, and this year I was hoping that the podcast would just blow up and that it wouldn't be a problem to keep doing that. I have to look at where I am financially this year, at the end of the year, for me to kind of be able to say that that is something that I can do. As of right now, it doesn't look like that's gonna be possible. So it really depends on how the podcast is doing, how my business is doing, all of that. But it definitely makes me. I hope that I can bring that back, and I hope that when I do that, maybe part of the sponsorship should be aimed at helping women in sport who are pregnant or who are trying to get back, and just like last year, it's gonna be aimed at runners who don't really have professional deals or make a living out of running. So yeah, a little update on that as well. I don't know if there's much more to say right now. This just ended up being an episode where I'm rambling. I guess tomorrow's episode, when I'm going to talk to John, is going to be a part of the Boston series, because we're obviously going to talk a lot about Boston. But I also think that's going to be interesting for anyone who is curious about John's training methods, the way he is approaching coaching, but also like how we're going to talk a little bit about some of his professional runners, and also how he's dealing with someone like me who's just been facing one problem after the other since we started working together. And to be clear, the problems has nothing to do with him. I've never felt as confident in what we've been doing as I've been now. It's my body has really responded well to it. It's more about other external factors affecting it. So that's it. Just would like to remind you to go check out the marathonpodcast.com if you want one of these hats. I will. You can also buy one in Boston. That's at least the goal. And use the code Christian. Look at the description down below on Strava to get 20% off an annual subscription. Honestly, I love the functions that you get with the Strava Premium or the Strava subscription. And that's about it. And if you're struggling with some injuries, use the code down below to get a red light therapy unit from FlexBeam. Thank you so much for being here, for listening to the Marathon Podcast in this really weird but short episode. Next episode will be with Jonathan Green, and then we'll be back with more exciting and interesting guests going forward. You listen to the Marathon Podcast, brought to you by Wallet Studio and me.